Hey guys, it's Ben Young from Australian Strength Performance, and today we're going to be discussing a really interesting topic, which is overactive traps. That's a big one. Now, when it comes to overactive traps, it is one of those really common issues you would find in the gym. Often people, when they do exercises, tend to lift a lot more weight than they can handle, leading to faulty recruitment patterns. And one of those muscles that are really easily recruited are your upper traps. Especially for women, you find that they start to develop traps that they don't want if they perform an exercise incorrectly. Now, if you get overactive traps, you also tend to get headaches, and this is a very common issue with people that go to the gym, is that they get headaches at the end of the session or through the day because they've overactivated the traps. Now, the role of the traps is a really important role. Your traps really form three main muscles: your upper traps, your trap 1, your mid traps, your trap 2, and your lower traps, your trap 3. Often your trap 2 and trap 3, which is your mid and lower traps, are not activated sufficiently and not strong enough to keep your upper traps down. So today we're going to talk about how we can isolate those movements of your scapula to work with your traps, to deactivate your upper traps, but also really help you with recruiting the muscles in the right sequence. And we call that a scapular-humeral rhythm. One of the ways I really like to introduce a proper scapular-humeral rhythm is by learning to isolate the scapulars first. Only by isolation do we integrate the movement into something like a row, for example. So this exercise right here is a scapular retraction exercise. In this exercise, you see me perform the exercise where my elbows are completely locked out. Now watch me as I pull the cable towards myself and I make a conscious effort not to activate my upper traps. Now in any sort of scapular rhythm, most of the time your upper traps are being activated. And so in this particular movement, watch as I pull the cable towards myself with my arms locked out, but it's my lower traps, my trap 3 and my trap 2 that is being activated, and I make a conscious effort of it. This is the isolation part of the scapular rhythm. That's what I'm focusing on. I would probably get 20 to 25 reps to make sure that I understand how that is actually being used. Now in this next movement that I'm performing, you would see me on all fours on the floor. I aim to make sure that my torso is as parallel to the floor as possible, and I'm actually using my body weight to make myself aware of my scapular movements. Now, the goal here is isolation of my scapulars, retraction, and protraction. Now watch me as I retract my back, protract it, retract it, protract it. Now this makes me aware of how my scapula moves. This again is an isolation activity that I use prior to integrating it to a movement like a row, for example. Now the third movement down here is not an isolation movement, it is an integration movement. This is when I actually perform a row. So in this activity, you watch me on a seated row, standard seated row, but the way I perform it is what I call a two-part row. And that is really to isolate my scapulars first as the first part, making sure my scapulars are the only movement that is generated, and then the bend of the arm comes in to start rowing. Now, from an innate point of view, that's not really how the body works. However, I'm making a conscious effort to emphasize those two main movements, the retraction, then the pull to add on, because I want to make sure that my body understands how to segregate these two movements. Once I understand how to do that, I can then integrate that into a proper row. As that is being done, I am more likely not to activate my upper traps and actually learn to activate my lower traps and my mid traps in the rowing movement. That really helps me with the activity that I'm performing, as well as generating strength from the right neuromuscular pattern. So with this video, I hope you have taken away some tips on learning how to deactivate your upper traps. Now this comes in extremely handy for females. That was the first thing that I spoke about. And I think a lot of females in the gym, in an attempt to lift a heavier weight, will tend to overactivate their upper traps. Now this leads to an unwanted look where the traps actually raise up, it grows, and it gives them that sort of a rounded shoulder appearance, if you understand what I mean. That's not what they want. I think it's very important to incorporate these sort of activities in learning how to maintain a proper scapular-humeral rhythm, as well as activation of your mid and lower traps to deactivate those traps. In doing so, get the physique that they want. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was educational as well as practical. Now, remember to like this video because we do like likes. Leave any comments if you have any, and make sure you tune into the rest of our videos because we've got lots more interesting stuff for you coming up.